Hi, ladies. Good to see you. Happy Wednesday. I just wanted to pop in and talk about something that's kind of been on the tip of my tongue. I brought it up a little bit in some of my paid programs like Awaken Your King and Awaken the Fire in Your Prince. And so I wanted to come on and just sort of flesh out the awakening I've been having and tell you a couple stories and some personal realizations and how I've come to that, how I've come to this awakening. Sorry, pulling with my shirt. I love my new shirt. It's a Moo, which I guess is a brand. I never had heard of it before, but I got it at a resale store for $12, and it cut off the tag, and it was originally $128 on sale for $88. So, woohoo! Happy me. Okay, so anyway. Say hi if you're watching. I hope this is working. Facebook Live and I don't get along that well. Okay, so anyway, if you have noticed, if you had seen, hopefully you saw my video with my husband Derek, the last one recently, and I hope my mic's working, so let me know. So give me yes, I loved it if you saw my video with Derek. I don't know what my watch is buzzing about. But I loved that video and I got some great comments on it. I can link it for you if you haven't seen it yet. But so it was totally his idea. He wanted to come on and talk about how his income has doubled and is on its way to tripling just in the time that we've known each other. We've known each other for 3.5 years, and we're almost married for 2 years. Is that right? We've been married a year and a half. We met July 2017, so almost 3 years. Not yet 3 years that we've known each other. So, yeah, so in that time, and he totally credits me, and being the humble, submissive, surrendered wife that I am, I credit him for all his success and everything, but this is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm saying is my awakening, is the importance of my desires and how I absolutely have no choice. I must stay in touch with my desires. It is a disservice to my marriage. It is a disservice to my family. It is a disservice to my happiness to not be constantly in touch with my desires and acknowledge them, allow them to be expressed purely. And we talk about this in my programs. What is a pure desire? Right now in, like I said, Awaken Your King, we are talking about pure desires versus demanding and, expectations and muddling up and muddying up a relationship with these things that are not pure desires. Okay, so that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about telling your husband what to do or telling him, how he should do whatever it is you want. But you should be in touch with your pure desires. And so besides that video, that YouTube video that Derek and I did together, I have another story for this awakening. And I hope that you get a lot out of it. I know that my brilliant students and clients who are very open and aware of their own growth and responsibility in their life and their potential to be an amazing wife and a spectacular feminine woman, they hear the story and they get the self-reflection and the empowerment and the understanding out of it. But the people who are not ready for all that growth, they will kind of criticize and be like, well, you should have done this way and he should have done this thing or whatever. So listen with an open mind and see if you can compare how you would normally react in this situation or whatever, in a similar situation, what you would have done or said, and what I did differently, if you can see what I'm talking about with awakening to the importance of my desires. Okay, so I mentioned the beginning of this story to a few people, to some of my clients, my private clients, because it was happening over the weekend. We just had a long weekend, and we had a long week of rain. It's still raining here, but last week was even worse. Days and days and days of rain. Probably happened near you too, maybe if you're in the eastern US. And our house started flooding. The basement just got all, water in it. The roof is leaking, just all these things. Okay, so we have an old house, and this house was kind of my direction or my preference when we were looking. I really wanted it, and my husband, of course, really wanted to give it to me, and so we bought it. So, but it's an older house. I'm kind of into older homes and fixing them up, and he's not so much, okay? So doesn't have like all the experience, or didn't used to have much experience with construction or remodeling or anything like that. And so it was a little intimidating for him to have all these construction projects, and in his mind, just the house is ready to fall down, right? And sorry, lots of little moving parts and pieces and context, but so with the water, the rain happening, and the issues that we're having with the house, he got angry at, having to pull the carpet up and everything, and said, we are moving, we're selling this place, getting out from under it. I don't want to own a home. This is it. It's too much. I don't want to deal with it. And so he wanted to call a realtor. And so we're walking along, and of course, I don't necessarily want to sell the house. And also, what's going on in the back of my mind is this is like an emotional reaction, and you shouldn't make big decisions or big plans when you're in the middle of those emotions, right? Like you're really upset that there's water in the house and all that. But I didn't say any of that. I wasn't going to undermine my husband that way. I wasn't going to second guess his decision making. He's very smart. He's very capable. He's, at least half of our team, So if this is his opinion, then I'm not going to argue with it, right? So, we lined up a realtor. I have some like side details with that, was like how we found the realtor, and he asked me to call a realtor or give him names of anyone I knew. And this was very useful information to my Awaken Your King students, because they want to know, like, when your husband asks you to do something, like, do you just do it? Like, how do you avoid taking on too much? Especially if you don't necessarily agree with the direction that things are going. So this is one reason that I'm telling you this story. So, so he, said, let's call a realtor. Who do you know? I said, I'm not really sure, but, I can find this Facebook post where somebody was asking for realtors, and there's a whole bunch of suggestions there. And so he's like, okay, we'll pull that up, and I said, okay, well, this name's getting a couple of recommendations, and he got the guy on the phone, So that's in contrast to how some wives might react and take on too much and go, okay, well, I guess I'll look someone up, and I'll, and there's more to that task than looking someone up, right? You're making a decision. You're weighing all these factors to decide who to call, right? Like, I have a friend of my daughter's mom is a realtor, and so then I'm deciding whether to get her involved in our personal life. Like, there's all these factors you're weighing, right? When you decide who to hire for something very big and personal like that, right? So just kind of a side note that you don't have to take on every decision just because your husband's asked you for help with a task like this, right? What I do, could be helpful to you is just kind of take it bit by bit, piece by piece, sort of break down what your thoughts are and you're considering, and spit it out. Just say it out loud, like, okay, well, I've got this Facebook post that I can consult, but that doesn't mean I'm taking on the task of deciding who to call, right? And, you know, he's got Google, he can find their number, and you see what I'm saying? Is this making sense? That that we can not take ownership of a problem and still be helpful to our husbands and supportive. Does that make sense? Okay, hope so. All right, so anyway, so we get a realtor coming out. That was Monday, which was Memorial Day, and I was so miserable. Okay, the house, the basement just is a wreck with all the water coming in and everything and all the work that we need to do. And the dog was acting up, and just another issue was my health. I'm trying to get pregnant and working on my fertility, and so I'm using like supplements and things that are changing my mood. I was feeling really crappy about that whole situation. Then we went for a walk as a family and talking about it and everything, and just acknowledging how I felt. I felt really crappy. I knew part of it was this health thing. But also, I didn't like the direction of the house decision, which, you know, way that was going. And, you know, I didn't want to dismiss how I felt, even though I knew there were these certain factors. And the reason I'm telling you this is because we can sometimes attribute the way we feel to some factor, like say a health thing or some other outside circumstance. And then we think that's the end of the story. And then we think, okay, that's why I feel bad. But that doesn't solve anything, right? And so part of what I wanted to put in here as a lesson, and again, it's also included in the Awaken Your King class, is the importance of self-care. And I say it all the time to my students and clients and viewers, my audience, that self-care is just so, so, so important to our happiness, that when we're not feeling happy, what do? More self-care, okay? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because even knowing why I was not feeling I wasn't in a good high vibration or happy mood, I still needed self-care. That is still the answer, okay? So regardless of whether it's a health thing or whether it's, you know, maybe a situation with an in-law, with a child, you know, whatever is bringing you down, self-care is still the answer, and don't dismiss it. Don't sweep yourself under the rug. I really, really, really want to emphasize the importance of being just a little bit more selfish, okay? That when we focus more on what we need and want and spend more time making ourselves happy, everyone around us benefits, okay? So you don't have to worry that you're being too selfish by putting yourself first, because you are helping everyone around you by doing that, okay? So that's part of the lesson. Okay, so we're walking around at the park. I'm feeling crappy about this house situation and the whole health thing and everything, but you know, exercise does help, and a lot of times that's part of the self-care, right? Getting those endorphins kicking and moving, a little sweat, releasing and detoxifying, that can really be an important part of that self-care. So I was doing all of that and still not feeling great. And so what I tell my girls is, still not feeling happy, do more self-care, okay? So I've done a bunch, you know, got this new tub, went to Starbucks, had a little shopping trip by myself, just, yeah, doing those things to treat myself. So anyway, I finally realized that I needed to voice my desire around the house that I really didn't want to move. Not just that I didn't want to move, but that the constraints that my husband was putting on the moving were kind of closing in the possibilities and how I could be happy. I could be happy with the move if we had less constraints. So we have constraints, right? But those were limiting my potential for being happy with a move. Okay? So I'm giving space to the idea, not criticizing or cutting it off, but allowing us as a family to explore that idea, and it was not coming to a place that I could be happy with it, right? So, and like I said, I like the idea of fixing up houses, and this house that we have, I had all these big plans for and ideas for, and my husband was not so much into the construction and remodeling. But nevertheless, I had this desire and I needed to voice it to him. So I finally did. As a pure desire, I said, look, these are our considerations. If we move, how much are we investing and how much are we looking to change our situation, like as far as like lowering our house payment or lowering repair costs or renting somewhere. How would that change our monthly income and outflow? Versus if we invested in the house we're in now, made some improvements, and then we're able to earn some income off of the house we're in now, which just excites me, gets me pumped up. That's the kind of thing that I think is fun. And I just needed to tell my husband that. I just needed to tell him that's what gets me excited. This is what feels right to me. I was not feeling good about the option to move. This plan instead is getting me excited and making me feel like hopeful and happy, right? Okay, so this is what I shared with my husband, and he was all about it, 100% gung-ho, let's do it, pedal to the metal, full steam ahead, and which I'm so excited. We haven't really started yet or anything like that, and that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is not that my plan worked out better than what his plan was or anything like that. The point is that I was not happy until I voiced my pure desires, regardless of how it works out. May not go to, like I just said, may not go according to what I want or according to the plan that I came up with. But I needed to go through that. I needed to keep listening when I was not happy. I needed to keep digging until I uncovered the concerns that I had and the fears and the just unhappy outlook that I was having, where that was coming from. And then the self-care I needed to help counteract some of those circumstances, the health issues that were bringing my energy down. Okay, so I hope, so let me know, is this making sense as to the importance of following your desires and how my personal awakening occurred? And I would love to hear from you. Are you getting a sense for how vital and crucial your desires are for the direction of your family? Because, okay, so to wrap this up in sort of a conclusion as to what my awakening is that I had this surrendered wife, lean back. I love that approach. It is amazing, and I wholeheartedly believe in it. But what I'm coming to understand is that our desires are crucial to the direction of the family, that our husband can't lead us without those desires for direction. Is that making sense? So this is a huge, huge realization for me. That I was under the impression I needed to just let him lead, make all the decisions, that he would choose the direction for the family. And yes, I do want him to lead and I do want him to make decisions, but that a lot of the direction for the family comes from my desires. So I 100% believe that he would agree with that, and he would tell you that, like he did in his own words, basically in that video that we did about marrying a successful man. So let me know what you think. Tell me, are you awakening to the importance of your desires? And tell me in the comments, yes, I'm awakening to the importance of my desires. And I know that this will be a huge turning point and realization for your future if you do give your desires the attention and the honor that they deserve. Okay, so I want to share that story with you ladies, help you understand why you need to be a little selfish and why you need to always, always, always acknowledge your own feelings and your own experience, and never dismiss them. Always dig and keep digging until you get to the root of those pure desires and make sure they have a voice. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I'm Leila Thomasone, your dating, relationship, and marriage mentor. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again here next time. Bye.